Stop the sweeps! 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 Stop the sweeps!
My goals actually.
Stop 12!
No, wait, that's okay. No, I'm sorry. What? Beat my face. Sounds so bad. We're killing Right when you sent that message, I was finishing stop that. I was like, wait, put the sign also like ready. And I'm not really sure how that works.
Thank you, Carol.
I know, I didn't know.
That's good. That's a lot better than
Go somewhere else. No.
No, that's
Like
what they're
this
thinking.
yeah.
my boyfriend, he said he's on his way. Okay, Austin, I was going to ask if you'll be warm. I'm happy to share my scarf. It's basically a
So
blanket.
that's kind of what I think they're trying to do here. At least that's what they do.
I don't want to be
I don't want to be like in the face of the thing. Cars just feel like
I don't love like
I know.
Hey y'all, follow Spencer to the Myrtle Street entrance if you're going inside to testify.
Yeah, I know. You made a joke that we have to come up with a meme that just you hold up on your phone that just does some weird thing. Like, situation normal all piled up.
yes, exactly. Did I hear right though that first person gonna do overnight warming? Yeah, it's gonna be that is amazing. I'm so happy to hear that.
It's really, it's a lot of it's Ben Skillins. It started GPPS, but it's also that the church is going to let us use the upper floor for the overnight so we can get up to 75 bedding.
I was thinking it was just maybe mats on that little space.
No, we do overnight.
But something that they made something out of nothing and maybe other churches. No, it's
And I think we're going to congregate over there.
Downtown Portland.
You guys are moving this year.
We're doing a lot of like. I just did it right.
Minimal striking. One guy there like, works. No, we're going to go to New York and Chicago.
When you still kind of feel like,
She's kind of born from that romantic mood. Yeah, I misunderstood it as a literature. But so it's there, I guess we're out. Yeah, she was, yeah. Like, William Blake was a couple of decades ago. Vincent Shelley died very, he died very young. Yeah.
I feel like I didn't mean to be that kind of dad. Favorite tracker?
I just said William Blake because I know Chris Matthews.
Totally.
Vincent Shelley, his poems are still used by the Labor Party. Very collectivist, which all come together to make the Mask of Anarchy. Great. Godwin, yeah, that does ring a bell. I haven't got it. Yes. So he is,
We're gonna go live here at 4:30. And at 4:30, you're getting back. But you're gonna set up the right.
No, I was just waiting to see what they were going to do.
Oh, yeah, I think it's gonna be a minute. That side's popping off. If you haven't gotten some footage over there, the guys over by the park.
Yeah, we ended up over there.
Yeah.
We're also going to be making a remarks as a press conference up here.
Zoe and Dog.
Hey, we're all doing this.
We are. Is our press conference location?
I believe so.
Great. We chose a corner.
I
know how I
appreciate
like
that.
corners great.
Less windy.
Yeah.
We just do what we're told. Sweeps! See? We've been well trained.
Pastor Jeff is punchy tonight. Watch out.
I'm unfortunately always like this. But I will be very serious once it's before.
Right. Once the camera was on.
A sense of humor and a sense of denial will not survive as a species.
Jess, how do you want us in, like, the order that we'll speak in?
That was really good.
This is the background noise.
This would be perfect.
Channel 8 was
Can't answer the solution was our first step to solve the problem. So this is the new time to look at the outside. Channel 8 covered a really good song. Channel 8, 6, 8, 6. I can't keep track.
Having fun? What, you don't like hypothermia? No, it's annoying.
We're really appreciating you guys straight up. Yeah, no, we're not sending you anywhere. This was the vibe just never going for today. It's just head to toe. Steak. Present. I am present. I am present. We're here.
You cannot deny my presence.
Yeah, exactly. That is one
Deny
thing.
my message.
Yep.
And shoot down the order.
Deny my presence.
Right channel.
I feel like all the like really good one-liners are coming out of this group tonight.
So happy.
We're a sassy bunch of folks today.
This morning I was on the phone with Michael and Jess and we were literally like, and this is now Jess our time. This is just like these
this
like
lady
spicy
yeah.
one-liners just looking for an airport to land in.
I thought this 422 conference time was never going to start. It was never going to happen. We're never going to get to that portion of the day, let alone the sitting in the city council.
They're gonna come back.
Sure, Kristen. Artist, can you tell me your name and then spell it for me, please? Sure, Kristen Carreras. Carrer. A-S.
Right, no, that's
K-R-I-S. Sure, Kristen Carreras. Carreras.
right, no, that's
K-R.
Your guys' group is called Stop the Sweeps, or it's
Stop the sweeps.
Stop
You have to have a name. All right. My name is Just Valero. We are standing up together to oppose the continued forcible displacement of unhoused residents in Portland. The forcible displacement of unhoused people is counterproductive, costly, and harmful. Punishment and criminalization are not solutions to homelessness. We can't work towards solutions to homelessness while we're actively punishing and harming unhoused residents. The city must stop criminalizing homelessness and invest in recognizing everyone's right to dignified housing. Until the city stops forcibly displacing and criminalizing people who don't have access to housing, then we will continue to witness this crisis grow. For as long as the city chooses violent and punitive approaches, we're going to keep turning up. Our unhoused neighbors will not be disappeared, and we are not going away. After me, you will hear from Courtney, who's going to talk about the medical aspect and losing lives. You're going to hear from Heather, who's going to talk about dignity and people's autonomous right to choose what it is that they need to be working on at any given moment. We're going to talk about the waste of public resources and ineffective dumpster cost analysis by Michael. And we'll have a moral and faith grounding by Pastor Jeff. Courtney?
Thanks, Jess. My name is Dr. Courtney Pladsen, and I am a national expert at health and homelessness. And we have published, I was part of a team that published studies that looked at the outcomes of encampment sweeps. And we know that encampment sweeps cause harm. They increase mortality, they increase infections, they increase hospitalizations. We know that encampment sweeps are not neutral. They cause harm, not only physical harm, but they sow mistrust, and they make it more difficult for people to get housed. Encampments are not the end goal. We just want people to be able to simply survive while we are working to support them get their most basic human needs met. We want all people to have the access to a dignified home, a safe place to call their own. That's the goal. We don't want people to simply waste away in encampments. We want people to be able to exist in encampments while we are working to support their everyday needs. Right now, the Department of Health and Human Services is saying that they want to sweep encampments because of public health risk, but that is misplaced. The risk is in encampment sweeps. That's where there is harm. There's increased risk of overdose, there's increased risk of all-cause mortality following encampment sweeps. And just last week, the American Public Health Association came out and made a statement against encampment sweeps due to the significant data that has come through in research and studying this that shows that encampment sweeps cause harm. So again, we don't want to punish the individuals that due to system failures. We want to actually address these system issues by helping people find housing, because housing is healthcare. Thank you.
My name is Michael Fletcher. I'm a street outreach worker in this city, and I'm a person with lived experience with homelessness, and I'm a person in recovery. Forced displacements and criminalization have not resolved any of the growing issues that this city is facing with the current housing crisis. The constant displacement of unhoused people and families is a waste of public resources, making the unsheltered crisis worse. Ultimately, we are investing in violent policing tactics and pushing unhoused people instead of investing in solutions to homelessness. The fiscal note attached to Order 68 is absurd and was used as a scare tactic using overly inflated financial figures. The city has failed to tell the council and public how much money is being wasted on forcible displacements. Even when the city provided a line item budget for the Fore River encampment sweep, it failed to capture many of the costs, both short-term and long-term, to these costs. For example, it does not capture the costs of repeatedly traumatizing and destabilizing unhoused people, which result in people getting stuck in homelessness for longer and requiring emergency services to remain alive. It does not capture the medical and emergency costs created by sweeps that harm public health, like responses to the Hep A outbreak arising from the city failing to provide clean water to people living in encampments. It does not capture the cost of the city deciding to use complaint-oriented policing, sending people to target unhoused people each time housed residents feel uncomfortable. As a service provider doing outreach in various encampments that have been forcibly displaced, it has been increasingly difficult to navigate working with my clients. Just trying to find them after a sweep and build trust with when they have been repeatedly forced out of the spot they may have found to rest their head by the system that is supposed to be in place to assist them. People have nowhere to go. The issues we are having with large encampments in the locations they are directly due to the current camping policies that exist that has pushed small groups of folks from all around the city into one location because of the constant displacements. I urge the City Council to follow the data. Sweeps cause death. This is a fact, and continuing this is the city committing violence against our most vulnerable community members. I urge you and the City Council to support Order 68. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Heather Zimmerman and I'm a legal fellow with the ACLU of Maine. What the experts behind me make very clear is that all of the evidence shows that encampment sweeps don't work. The forcible displacement of people is ineffective, it's costly, and what's most important is it harms all of us. We will never find a solution to homelessness through punishment and criminalization. That much is already clear in Portland, Maine, because for months now, the city of Portland has been punishing and criminalizing, forcibly displacing hundreds of unsheltered people. And what has happened? Our homelessness crisis has gotten worse. There are more people forced to live outside. Precious public resources have been wasted on policing and punishing people rather than invested in the solutions to homelessness, which is dignified housing and adequate shelter. There is not enough housing and shelter in our city. We have a severe lack of housing accessible in our city, and we know that the #1 driver of homelessness is a lack of housing. Moreover, there's no shelter capacity in this city. Every single night, the shelters are full to capacity. Despite this, the city has continually used encampment sweeps to punish unhoused residents in this city and push them further to the margins. We've heard from medical experts that this increases death, it increases hospitalizations, and it increases the spread of infectious disease. Again, we see this right in our city. In addition, we hear from service providers that encampment sweeps make it more difficult for experts, outreach providers, who are the best way to help people reconnect with housing and shelter. But these encampment sweeps push people further to the margins and break their connection with community and service providers. I'm here because every time the city conducts an encampment sweep, it also risks violating unhoused residents' constitutional rights. The Constitution provides the basic social contract that people in this country have with our government. But every time people are forcibly displaced, it risks violating their 4th, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights. We've heard that sweeps are important as part of the city's ECRT work to bring people into shelter. But this is not true. The data does not support that. The numbers here in Portland don't support that. Our neighbors are still being left outside, sweep after sweep. What sweeps do is it robs people of their humanity and their agency. It destroys their personal property that they need to survive right now. It also robs them of their agency. It robs them of their ability to survive. And so what we're here saying is that punishment will not solve the city's homelessness crisis. It never will. Punishment has not worked to address any social problem in this country. It's time that the city turn away from the punitive approach that it's been pursuing for months and instead invest our resources in solutions to homelessness, housing, and adequate shelter.
Hello, my name is Pastor Jeff Logan. I have been a homeless outreach minister in Greater Portland for the last 8 years. And when you're a homeless outreach minister and they ask you where your church is, you don't have a building to point to, you just say it's here out on the streets with all of you. I think it's fascinating that all of the major religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, have some version of the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But my favorite always goes back to Rabbi Hillel, who was a 1st century rabbi, and he was challenged by a crowd to describe the teachings of the Torah, the entire teachings of the Torah, while standing on one foot. So Rabbi Hillel thought for a moment, picked up his foot, and he said, "That which would do harm to you, do not do to another. All the rest is commentary." And he put his foot down. And I can't imagine that there's anyone in Greater Portland, anyone who is fed, housed, and warm, if they suddenly were to find themselves unhoused and trying to survive in a tent, would want the city to come in and throw all their meager belongings away. And the fact is, bootstrap nonsense to the contrary, many of us are just one fiscal disaster away from exactly that scenario. So if the Golden Rule doesn't float your boat, how about there, but for the grace of God go I? Because this is a moral imperative to pass Order 68. Because the fact is, if we start sweeping encampments in late November, destroying campsites that have been reinforced with found lumber, that are heated with propane heaters and on occasion have generators for electricity, that are essentially strong enough to make it all through, but for all the worst of winter. If we sweep those campsites, they won't be able to take all those heavy and bulky items with them, and they will be left to pitch a cheap tent on a piece of pavement and hope that the wind doesn't knock it down or the snow doesn't collapse it, while all the while rolling the dice on the Hobson's choice between immolation and freezing to death as people are reduced to burning hand sanitizer in their tents to keep warm. That which would do harm to you, do not do to another. I have a bowl at home on my home altar that has memorial cards for most of the memorial services I've officiated during the last 8 years, including one yesterday and another a week and a half ago. It's pretty much full, and it's not a small bowl. Some people died from overdose, some from chronic degenerative disease, some from medical emergencies, and others were simply worn out from too many years trying to survive on the street. You probably all know that the life expectancy of someone who is chronically homeless is 58 years. The last thing that I want is another dozen cards to be added to my total when people either die in a fire trying to stay warm or freeze to death in inadequate shelter. Deaths that do not have to happen. I very much hope that we will not risk that outcome simply because we are collectively uncomfortable at the sight of homeless encampments. Okay.
Hey, I'd be willing to. I was going to ask you, Michael, right? Would you mind stepping aside for another minute?
Ordinance 68, which is going to allow public camping across the city. We actually live very close to the Harbor View, and we got to the front door of our house and turned around because we had to pass by the